How to answer? Tell me about yourself. What you should do if you don't know the answer of any question. Should you say sorry, or how you are going to tackle the situation? आइए जानते हैं सारे क्वेश्चन का आंसर फ्रॉम द हॉर्सेस माउथ मिस्टर तरुणदीप सिंह आनंद, the chairman Universal B School and the alum of SP Jain IMR. बहुत अच्छा इनका प्रोफाइल है. यू कैन से द डेडलीस्ट कॉम्बिनेशन, MBA, corporate and a rugby player, played for the India and now he is the chairman. तो आइए जानते हैं सारे क्वेश्चन सारे सिचुएशन का आंसर फ्रॉम द अदर साइड ऑफ द टेबल, बिकॉज ही द चेयरमैन ऑफ यूनिवर्सल बी स्कूल. बहुत सारे इंटरव्यू प्रोसेस मिले हैं. ही इज द ग्लोबल मैनेजर. बहुत सारी रिक्रूटमेंट की है इन्होंने. सो लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट द अदर साइड ऑफ टेबल थिंक्स अबाउट यू. क्या सोचते हैं, व्हाट दे वांट, एवरीथिंग. एंड एट द लास्ट मेरा एक अपना पर्सनल क्वेश्चन व्हिच इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन राइट नाउ. शुड वी इन्वेस्ट इन द मार्केट और नॉट, और हमें और वेट करना चाहिए? वन ऑफ द मोस्ट क्रिटिकल क्वेश्चन ऑफ द फाइनेंस. So let's start today's formal informal talk with Mr. Tarun. Okay, hi viewers. So Mr. Tarundeep Singh Anand का इंट्रोडक्शन तो बहुत लोगों को पता होगा, बट इन ब्रीफ में बता देता हूँ. He is BCom from MU, then SP Jain. We'll discuss SP Jain, that is the profile plus CATS जो भी उनका होता है. Then you have a lot of leadership training from the Michigan Business School, TUC, आई बहुत सारे मतलब आपके पास ट्रेनिंग्स हैं. Then इन द कॉर्पोरेट में बात करूं तो यू स्टार्टेड लाइफ एज अ बैंकर. वन ऑफ द टफेस्ट लाइफ जो आज के टाइम पे है आफ्टर कोविड अगर देखा जाए, या इवन वी टॉक अबाउट मोनेटाइजेशन, सबसे लाइफ टफ हुई थी बैंकर्स की. विल डिस्कस द मोनेटाइजेशन वो जब भी है. देन यू वर द ग्लोबल सीईओ राउटर्स. क्योंकि मैं अभी जब भी इंटरव्यू किसी पूछता हूँ तो उनका लॉन्ग टर्म गोल होता है कि मुझे टॉप मैनेजमेंट पे आना है. तो लॉन्ग टर्म गोल उनका आपने अचीव कर दिया. देन उसके बाद की भी लाइफ में जानना चाहूंगा, बिकॉज दिस इंटरव्यू इज ऑल अबाउट एक पर्सन जो MBA इंटरव्यूज में जा रहा है, उस वो क्या चाहता है इज टोटली डिफरेंट होता है. अदर साइड ऑफ स्टोरी क्या चाहती है, हम ये जानना चाहते हैं. क्योंकि यू आर द पैनलिस्ट, आप क्या सोचते हो, क्या है नहीं है. देन यू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ काम आपने लाइफ में बहुत सारा किया है. जैसे यू को फाउंडेड द FX Market Space. यू वर्क विद और फॉर द हर्षद मेहता, तो उसको भी देखना चाहेंगे हम, उसका क्या स्टोरी है. तो इन द ब्रीफ मैं चाहूंगा कि ये जो हमारा है फॉर्मल इनफॉर्मल चैट 3 पॉइंट्स पे ओरिएंटेड हो. वन इज द स्टूडेंट क्वेश्चन जो मैंने गैदर किया है, कुछ मेरे अपने क्वेश्चंस होंगे, एंड कुछ क्वेश्चंस होंगे जो आपका नया एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप है, दैट इज यूबीएस. सब कुछ छोड़ के, लॉन्ग टर्म गोल छोड़ के आप यूबीएस पे आए. एंड व्यूअर्स, मैं आपको बता दूं कि मैं थोड़ा सा नर्वस हूं, बिकॉज एज सोशल एंटरप्रेन्योर, आप मेरे को बहुत अच्छे से जानते हो, एक बिग सोशल एंटरप्रेन्योर से मिल रहा है. मतलब एक जो मीटिंग ऑफ माइंड्स है ना, शायद मैं पता नहीं कितना फुलफिल कर पाऊं. तो चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं. सबसे पहला जो बेसिक क्वेश्चन बच्चों का था, ये टॉप मैनेजमेंट करती क्या है? जस्ट वी टॉक अबाउट द यूबीएस. पढ़ाते तो हमारे हैं प्रोफेसर्स, नॉन एकेडमिक्स काम करती है, या यू आर द ग्लोबल सीईओ. सबको लगता है कि इफ यू गो इन द मिडिल मैनेजमेंट, सारा काम तो हम ये करते हैं. इफ यू टॉक अबाउट वर्टिकल्स, ऑप्स हो गया, सबके हेड हैं. ये सीईओ करता क्या है आखिर? ऐसे किस बात का लेता है?
So, excellent question. The role आपको हिंदी में चाहिए या इंग्लिश में चाहिए?
We are okay
मेरी
with
हिंदी थोड़ी कमजोर है, तो मुश्किल हो सकती है, गलतियां हो सकती है.
No, you go with your own.
Okay, great. So, as a CEO, I think the important role is to set the direction. So, you are the person who's responsible for seeing 5 years, 10 years ahead. And so what in my roles of CEO, whether in the corporate world or today at University Business School, it's about scanning the horizon and seeing what can and should be done and what could be the potential disruptors of our business, and how can we be prepared. So it's about putting in those, first getting those sensors out there so that you keep consuming a lot of information from every source, whether it's the Harvard, Wharton, Stanfords of the world, whether it's top business schools in India, and what's happening, what's changing. Whether you look at West, people are saying, how do you future-proof a business school? So that's what excites me, right? So getting that information, synthesizing it to create a plan, and with that plan will be potential changes. It could be changes in roles. It could be changes in terms of getting new people on board. And as a CEO, if you're smart, you'll get people smarter than you on board to do those new areas. If you're, and then because what tends to happen is everybody is in a silo, right? They are required to do what's their silo. So finance guy is required to do his silo, marketing does his silo. You need someone to figure out the prioritization, because many times in organizations these silos clash. They end up bumping into each other, and then there are potentially ego clashes, seniority clashes. So you come in and you say, okay, wait a minute. I think for the organization as a whole, we need to go on one direction or the other, because there are going to be difference of opinion. So to come in, and it's like a symphony player, right? He's got to get everything working together. Where there is a stoppage, so any stoppage in the system, right? Any plumbing, then I jump into that and make sure, okay, I've got it done. Right now, some people might have the ability to do it. Some people might be not sure whether we want to invest in that plumbing to solve it, because there's always a investment related. So to manage that, to understand the prioritization, to ensure that the funds are spent in the right way, to deal with interpersonal issues between people and divisions, clashes of priorities. So I call myself the servant leader.
Okay.
मैं सबका servant. कुछ भी हो, I'm willing to find a way to solve it. And that's what leadership demands. Of course, the big picture is always the responsibility of ensuring that it's a sustainable organization. So you put all the facets in, that you make a sustainable long-term path for the organization, and nothing, even COVID, should not touch it. Right? The organization be strong. It should be like, okay, little changes, many changes, mega changes, but the fundamentals of the organizations are solid so that it can really weather the storm. So you're like the captain of the ship. Everybody is doing their roles, but you've got to make sure that, okay, we've got to get through that storm, that we, in the wave, you've got to point the direction of the ship or the yacht to get through that. And you might go this way, that way, you might take a straight line. That's what you design. So I can keep talking about it because it's a leadership thing. But if you have follow-ups, I'd be delighted to take.
Okay, so I would say to all my viewers, please listen and listen, so that you can build your own pointers if in the interview or in the corporate world or कहीं भी question आए, what a CEO is about to do, it's your long term goal. तो आप यहाँ से pointers ले सकते हो, like synthesizing the data. A CEO, the wealth quote is the servant's leader. You said so. बहुत अच्छा कोट है, आप इसको कोट कर सकते हो, बट आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि कॉपी पेस्ट कर लेना, अपने पॉइंटर्स डाल देना, बहुत अच्छी बात है. अगेन सर, एक क्वेश्चन आता है इन द इंटरव्यू. दैट्स अ क्वेश्चन आस्क्ड इन द, आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू टेक द नेम ऑफ द बी स्कूल, बट उन्होंने बहुत बड़ा क्वेश्चन पूछा है. विल यू हायर अ स्मार्टर गाय देन यू? सो आपका आंसर क्या होगा इसमें? If you
100%.
you are in the, we are I'm the
10,000%. The best thing, if you, because he's in your team, remember, you're not competing with that guy, right? He's in your team. So if you have awesome people in your team, basically my view on this matter is hire someone smarter than you so that he makes you redundant. So when I was in the corporate world, I used to essentially problems aate hain, har division mein kuch na kuch solve kar. So many people would go to the boss and say, boss problem hai. Then the boss will give his, big advice, and then you solve the problem. I said, I never want to go to my boss with any problem. मेरे को boss तेरी जरूरत नहीं है. I want to make you redundant. The moment you make your boss redundant, you become the boss. And the boss becomes a super boss. So if you hire people below you, you'll be only solving their problems. I mean, below you, who's not competent as you or more competent, you'll be only dealing with their problems. And then he'll stay there, you'll stay there. Organization doesn't grow. He won't grow, you won't grow. So if you're smart, hire people smarter than you so that you grow and he grows. He takes your position.
Okay, so it's not a corporate politics.
Not at all.
Like, he's going to replace you. You said, okay, one of the best answer, okay, if he's going to grow, you are going to grow. अगर वो आपका पोजीशन लेता है तो you take the our position. Great. Okay, now, yeah. So this was the first, the theme set करना था कि हमारा जो aim है, the aim of this formal informal chat is let you know कि how to answer in the interview so that you can crack interview भी crack करो, live भी crack करो, जो भी है crack करो. Now come. So your alma mater, that is the Jain, well known for the ACATS and the profile based. Do you have a call for the acads or the profile? एसपी जान से आपकी कॉल क्या थी?
तो एसपी जैन जब मैं गया था तो 5 मुझे याद है 5 क्राइटेरिया थे। अकेड्स, एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर एक्टिविटीज, लीडरशिप, कम्युनिकेशन और एंट्रेंस एग्जाम। उस टाइम पे सबको इक्वल वेटेज था। आई वाज वेरी बैड इन एंट्रेंस, हॉरिबल। I cracked the other 4,
Oh, great.
and that's how I got it. So it was acads, it was extracurricular, it was leadership, it was communication.
So it's a more the profile-based call.
Profile based, absolutely.
Great. So SP Jan profile-based call. Even in the last year, one of my students cracked SP Jan with the lowest profile. The percentile जो उनका CAT का था, तो that's why I had off to SP Jan IMR. That profile बहुत important है. So sir, start करते हैं students के question से. Okay. So one of the students asked to me, my CAT of this year is not good. मैं जॉब छोड़ना चाहता हूँ बिकॉज बहुत प्रेशर है. सो व्हाट योर सजेशन एज अ chairperson of the UBS, a person quitting the job called the cat. Though cat is not a बहुत बड़ा ओलंपियाड तो है नहीं. व्हाट योर टेक? एक बंदा आपके सामने इंटरव्यू में बैठता है एंड बोलता है कि आई एम वर्किंग विद द XYZ कंपनी, बहुत सारा वर्कलोड है एंड माय एम इज टू डू एंड डू, मेरे को एमबीए करना है, मैंने एक जॉब छोड़ा. व्हाट्स योर पर्सपेक्टिव? बंदे में कुछ पंगा है क्योंकि बाकी बंदे भी तो कर रहे हैं, देयर अदर पीपल along with the job is doing great in the cats. So other side of the table क्या सोचता है?
So he's actually taking a break for cat, or is he
leave, quitting the job?
Quitting the job to do his cat? Yeah, so there I would say थोड़ा माइनस मार्क्स मिलेंगे, क्योंकि as you rightly said बहुत से लोग मैनेज करते थे, सब कुछ मैनेज करते थे, एंड बिजनेस में जाना है तो यू हैव टू मैनेज अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. सो अगर आप अपना यही नहीं मैनेज कर पा रहे हो, देयर इज अ माइनस पॉइंट. नाउ द वे टू ओवरकम इट, जस्ट लेट्स अज्यूम चलो आपने कर दिया है, द वे टू ओवरकम इट इज बियॉन्ड योर particular job and beyond your CAT preparations. What else have you done? So the way to do it is, मैं और क्या कर सकता हूँ? तो आप थोड़ा NGO में काम करो, right? Get some social experience so that you can add value to your interview. You can even do, read some amazing books which will be able to crack the interview, right? So that's another area I would say invest. Nowadays, everything is certification, right? So that if you're a finance guy or you're interested in business analytics or whatever choice, तो आजकल Udemy, EDX पे बहुत से certification. So you have to actually demonstrate to me, the interviewer of a business school or in the future, that I have done 3 other things or 4 other things. I've even helped my friend do a business if there is that opportunity. So say that, and I might say okay, right? Otherwise, it's a minus.
Okay, so the viewers and the future managers, I would say, if you are planning to quit a job, think, rethink. But अगर आपने plan कर लिया है तो as such said, और हमने भी ये बोला है कि go for some certification course, all the live project अगर आप कर सकते हो, add the values. In time में आप value add करो. Okay, sir. So the first question we face in SP Gen, IMR और किसी भी interview में, tell me about yourself. तो ये ऐसे handle कैसे करते हैं? क्या सुनना चाहते हो आप लोग?
तो ये मैं बोलता हूँ ये मोस्ट क्रिटिकल है. It's called the pitch. आप क्रिकेट जानते हैं?
Have to say. Tell me about yourself. अगर आपको बोलना
I
हो.
will tell, but I want to give little background. So pitches win matches, right? In the cricketing world, same in your interview, whether a business school interview or tomorrow's job interview. How do you position yourself in the most amazing time in a short period of time, so that the other person says, "Wow!" Right? It has to be awesome, amazing, phenomenal. Right? The person should just be like, "Tell me more," and it should have enough hooks on it so that it draws it. And pitches can be 3-4 types. It could be a academic oriented, you're like topper, very very stellar record achievements, no be achievements. Second could be extracurricular, where you've probably done very well, not in academics, but you've done significantly well in other areas. The third kind of pitch could be you're passionate about a topic. Let's say you're very very focused on social entrepreneurship or something, right? You've done enough research on it that you have something to add value. It could be a futuristic pitch that I want to be ex Indra Nui or I want to be Satya Nadella. And because I am here today, I have thought through all the stages of my career, what kind of law will I do to get there, right? So there could be versions, many versions. My pitch in SP Jain was a combination of my internship, which I did during my college. So I started off my pitch saying, firstly, I had done a very unique thing. I did a sport, represented India in a sport, and that sport happens to be rugby, which is not too many people know about that sport. So I've represented India in international tournaments of rugby, right? So that was part of my pitch. I'm a big mountaineer. So I had got the gold medal from the Duke of Edinburgh for mountaineering, and I had also climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and Base Camp Kanchenjunga. So that was part of my pitch. I was very, very active in college in everything, right? Possibly I was vice chairman of the student council, so I gave a little bit of an interesting thing on leadership because I'd prepared for it. A pitch has to be prepared, right? You cannot suddenly go up. You have to pitch it. You have to talk to your friends, your family. How does it sound? Till it's not wow, you're going to keep practicing. Then I talked about my internship where I was working for HSBC at one point and then for Harshad Bhai. So that became an interesting part of my pitch. So there were so many hooks in it that honestly, in my SP Gen, they have a group interview. In that group interview, you're with 4 people here and 4 people in front of you, 3 or 4. My pitch was, I believe, so powerful that out of the 40 minutes of the interview, I might have bagged 25 minutes, right? I just took it away. So I think pitches win matches. So get yourself an amazing pitch.
Great. So as sir suggested, please take, retake, karo and get a wow factors in that. Tell me what yourself. I think so. एक wow factor तो चाहिए. Okay, sir. The next question from the student side and from my side too. You have done MBA after working somewhere or the all job after the MBA? That is the post MBA star work exam.
So immediately after completing my BCom, I did my SPJ. And I'm a firm believer. I did internships pehle, but the main job came after my MBA. Now many people have 2 different views. पहले काम करते हैं, कई बोलते हैं कि काम करो 2-3 साल and then do your MBA. I am firmly against that. And I'm not saying I'm right and they're wrong or they're right and I'm wrong. I'll talk about myself. I can only talk what I've done. So I, as a professional, believe that work before your MBA is called gadha mazdoor, cheap labor. And we as corporates have exploited that. I've been on the corporate side for 2 decades in multinational organizations. We love it because you come in ripe, starry-eyed in a multinational. I have to give you some peanuts and you'll work very happy and you'll say, I got a salary, I've got, this, that. But now let's be the reality check. The work pre-MBA and the work post-MBA is 70 to 80% similar in my personal view. In some companies, it might be 60%. In some companies, it will be 100% same. Because companies may, just because you're an undergraduate, you don't need to do new work. It's the same kind of work as a startup, right? As a startup. But after MBA, you start rising in the curve, much faster because you have this 3-letter word attached to you. I'll give you my personal example. My friend, rockstar, 90 percentile in CAT, 90% in academics. He was Bhagwan for us. He said, boss, मेरे को तो 2 साल काम करना है. मैंने बोला, I was a sports guy. I said, boss, if I break my education, I'll never be able to get back. Because whatever I do, I gusso it. Like, I'm a very deep. If I start work, then I'll gusso into work. Then don't tell me come into books. He said, नहीं, मुझे बोला है, मेरे दिमाग में it makes sense to work 2 years. So he did 2 years work post his BCom, and then did his MBA. I did 2 years MBA and then did my BCom. Work. Both seems equal, right? 2 years he did work while I was doing my MBA and vice versa. It's not equal. After I finished my MBA, 2 years I worked. I was with Standard Chartered Bank. I became business manager. I grew to a position, regional level position. He finished his 2 years, did his MBA. Guess what? He applied to my company and was reporting to me. आज तक वो अपना सर फोड़ रहा है. Boss, how can you be ahead? I was better than you in CAT. I was better than you in marks. Everything I was better. You become my boss. How? I said, now what is the problem? I told you, post MBA, the ticker starts working, not pre MBA. You can do 5 years. It's like IAS. If you're a 96 batch IAS or a 98 batch, 96 will always get. Doesn't matter how old you are. When you pass, the counter starts. So that was the reality check for him, right? And so I personally believe that it's better, but also I'm going to give a caveat. If you're not confident, if you're not ready, please work, right? But I was very clear. मैं कर लूंगा, right? So it also look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, am I ready for this? And if the answer to yourself is yes, and how do you get that yes answer? You've done well in academics, you've done well in extracurriculars, you have an all-round personality, then you're ready for the corporate world. Sorry, for the MBA world.
Fine, sir. Next question from the student's perspective: on which parameter an interview is judged by the interviewer? कुछ आपके पास seat होता होगा कि okay, we have to give marks out of 10 out of 10. Which are those parameters?
I
Can you
think,
repeat the cheat codes? वो क्या है?
I think confidence is one of the things which is, you can feel it, right? So when the student walks in, his smile, his confidence, his firm shake hand, and he looks it into your eyes and courteousness, may I sit down in a very respectful manner, that sends a lot of non-verbal communications, right? And there is a saying they say, in the first 2 minutes we decide whether we want to take you or not take you. The rest 20 minutes we are deciding why if we said ye theek hai, and we are proving to ourselves we made the right decision. And if we said ye reject, so we know why we are rejecting you. So then we are just documenting. So the first 2 minutes is critical, and that's where I say the pitch comes, right? Your pitch can win the match for you. But having said that, the broad parameters, of course, is communication, confidence, your ability to tell stories, because finally people get excited by stories. So you have to not create, but demonstrate. If you've developed a skill, because they will hire you for skills, right? They will hire you for knowledge, they'll hire you for attitude. Skills, knowledge can be demonstrated. Attitude is that thing, whether you have it or you don't have it. It's that magic which you can create. So from my perspective, anything, if you're good storytelling, right? If you say, I did this at this job, or I did this internship and I learned this, and these were the situations and how I dealt with, people get more confidence. So you're giving them confidence why they should select you. The other two areas, as I would say, is show your passion. Passion is infectious, right? So if you're passionate about mountaineering, or you're passionate about music, or you're passionate, let that come out, because that's when it will come into your DNA. They will experience it, right? They will see that you're passionate. And so those are my things. And one area now it's becoming paramount is your learning portion, right? Your learnability, as they call it. So what have you learned? So the question today, if I was an interviewer, I'll say, this 12 months of COVID or 9 months of COVID, what have you done to yourself? Yeah, you were at home. How have you improved yourself? How have you invested in yourself? That is going to be the question. And if you can demonstrate that you've really used your time, if you say, I was watching Netflix, gai bhains pani mein.
So after that, tell me about yourself. I think what you have done in the last 9 months could be the question. So please ready for it. You are a CEO. You said you think 5 years ahead or year ahead. During the interview, have you ever think कि आप सोचते हो या इंटरव्यू पैनल सोचता है the flexibility factor of a student, क्या मैं इसको place कर पाऊंगा? Do you think?
100%. 100%. See, देखो, top schools में क्या होता है? You get very good talent, right? Super talent. Like SPJMR, rock star talent. So I think there is very little you can do to them, because they're very genuinely good in all aspects. They are all rounders in every aspect. So उसमें थोड़ा polish करना है, थोड़ा shine करना है. It's the second tier schools where the effort is much more, because you don't get the top talent, and therefore you have to work harder on them. And therefore there is that question, can this guy, can I push him into the corporate world, and is he going to do well?
Great. And the last question from the student side, then I'll come to my side of the PI. That's the case. What's your suggestions? Because it's a high time for the PI preparation. What's your suggestion to aspirants? क्या करना चाहिए?
So I think start reading like mad. I know it might be boring, but pick up the newspaper or that e-paper. Read like mad every day, minimum 2 hours. More the merrier, right? Because you don't know what that GD or that question in that group interview or that interview is going to come. There's going to be current affairs, there's going to be general knowledge. So the more bigger the worldview you can build, the more you're going to be having more, you've got to, it's like you have to cross that bar. If you can't answer a question, automatically you'll be put on the side. So I would say voracious reading, karo. That's very, very important. Pick up one or two great books because I am a firm believer, Elon Musk or Steve Jobs autobiographies on business guys or Phil Lynch. These are phenomenal books, whether you're interested in marketing or Every Street is Paved with Gold in business, or you can read Finance May, One Up on Wall Street, and there are thousands. I can give you a list, long list. So I would say read the general knowledge, read some of these books, so you start getting business in coming into your brain. You start connecting the dots. Then I would also say there are some amazing movies to see in your time. Moneyball, Wall Street. If you're interested in finance, there's movies on leadership, there are movies on. So you need to create stories. Remember, at the end of the day, in a PI, the bigger the better story. And so all of these is going to make your worldview, so you can make stories come out, and that's what wins interview, right? They are looking for your learnability. So if you can showcase that, how I'm correlating facts, and that's what a master's student is expected. His ability to connect the dots, right? And so if you can connect the dots and start adding hooks, that's when the magic starts happening in the interview. So I would say read, of course, prepare your pitch, because without that, you're not even starting the interview. Everybody is going to ask you, tell me something about yourself. And please, for God's sake, do not answer, I came from Jaipur. Millions have come from Jaipur. I came from this XYZ college. Okay, even if it's the best college, tens of thousands of people have come. That's in your CV. Nobody's interested in that, right? Come with power-packed, impactful statements, which will make the guy think, oh, wow, we have a good candidate. So they also like it, right? They don't like this katrapati. They want a good candidate so that they can go and dwell. I literally roll up my sleeves. When I get a great candidate, I'm super excited.
Okay, so these are the basic HR questions. Now come to the main topic, like the people planning for the finances. They are getting these questions in a big way. Sensex hit 50K. पूरा economy डूबा हुआ है. What's your take? This question might come in the many of the interviews. What's your take? पूरा इकोनॉमी डूबा हुआ है, लेकिन सेंसेक्स बूम कर रहा था, दो within the 4 to 5 days 46 पे हुआ है. That's normal. What's good? Why it's 50K?
So, I used to be in the markets. So I will preface my answer that I am not in the markets. So there are experts who will do a 10,000 times better job, and you can find them on YouTube. But my take on it very simply is it's the quantitative easing that has happened across the world by all governments into trillions of dollars. The Americans have done trillions of dollars. The Brits have done $500 billion, and so on. China has done a trillion. And so everybody has printed money and flowed cash into the system. Now, cash is a fungible asset which has to find a haven. Now, when businesses don't do well, right, which is the reality, business is not doing well, you tend to find the money. Interest rates are down. Interest rates have been cut down also to help businesses with the lower cost of funding. So interest rates come hai to bank mein dal ke bhi koi fayda. So that has to go to some asset. And in this case, it's going into the stock markets. So it's a whole host of liquidity from funds all over. In India specifically, we're getting the highest number of foreign portfolio investments have come in, 36 billion or whatever the number is. Now that has to go into some asset, and it goes into the stock market. So if you invested, the stock market is a pure function of demand and supply. So if more people are buying, the price is going to go up. And that's why all stocks are hitting the top, and therefore the Sensex is obviously linked with the stocks. So it's a very function. Now, this will continue, right? Because we are still not out of the crisis. And there are some countries who are still in horror situation, like US, UK, and some European countries. So this, they are going to do further push, like the President Biden has already put in that 1.9 trillion further going to be given to people in terms of $2,000 paychecks and what have you. So there's more liquidity flowing, so it's going to keep sustained. Once COVID gets under control with the vaccination drives and the reduction we've seen in India and so on, and economic activity bounce back, the financial survey came out, said it's going to be an 11.5% rebound in the market. So what's going to happen then is the interest rates, because that money is also flowing into products, so there's inflation rising. So to keep inflation, the interest rates are going to rise. As inflation rises, the interest rates are going to rise. That's monetary thinking. So what's going to happen is then, as interest rates rise, then America as a destination, because the US dollar is the most safe currency in the world. So as they rise back in the US, and quantitative easing is reduced by the American and global banks, interest rates rise, the money will start flowing out. Now, that is the big risk. And therefore, whether it'll happen in 6 months or a year, I think it's more like a year, because the Americans are battered, and it's going to take a year to bounce back. India might bounce back faster as per the economic survey, but I still think because of the portfolio investment still being there, a year is fine, but you need to be worried if you're an investor that post 6-9 months, you need to start tapering in your thing, because the money will flow out, the stocks are going to come down. Maybe not drastically, because India's balance sheets are going to require a lot of repair. It's not going to be easy to repair those balance sheets. And Indian economy, even if it bounces back, there is large amount of problems across the length and breadth. The SMEs who don't have access to cash are struggling big time. Many have filed for bankruptcy. So there's a lot of strife. So it's not going to be, some big companies might do well, especially in pharma, in areas like, internet, anything to do with the technology world is obviously going to do well. Certain ed tech has done phenomenally well because of people being at home. So some sectors will do very well. Logistics have done very well. Food delivery, stuff like that. Those are areas which will continue to go, but it's going to take time. So I would say it's here to stay for the next 6 to 9 months, but watch the space.
Okay, so student and the viewers, please note down the points that which are the sectors which was or which will grow in the COVID. सर ने बताया इंटरेस्ट रेट और बहुत सारे टेक्निकल वर्ड्स यूज किए हैं. आई थिंक स्टूडेंट्स को ये पता होना चाहिए बिफोर एमबीए. नाउ माय क्वेश्चन इज एवरीथिंग इज डाउन, इज इट अ राइट टाइम टू डू एमबीए?
तो आई कॉल इट, दिस इज माय से कि अगर हमारे वॉर हुआ, राइट, आज समझो देयर इज वॉर डिक्लेयर्ड with one of our neighbors, I won't name them. What are you going to do? Are you going to stop eating? No, you got to eat, right? You got to live, right? So education, and in this case, MBA education, is food for the brain. War or no war, we've gone through. COVID is a war. COVID is a war. We are fighting that war with our healthcare professionals and all the things you've heard of. So it's a war. Now, what one does in a war is make the best out of the situation, worst situation. And the best way is to keep investing in yourself. And the best way to invest in yourself is education. There is no other way. So you've got to keep eating. Therefore, you've got to keep learning, because the only way to thrive in the crazy world that is ahead of you is to accelerate your learning, not decelerate your learning. Only when you're learning fast enough can you keep up with the change, and the pace of change is going to get unpredictable. It's a VUCA world. I'm sure you've heard of this. Volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. Yeah. And it's getting more and more unpredictable. So how do you deal with this unpredictability is invest in yourself. Now I'll give you an example. I was in Wall Street when 2008 financial crisis happened. My biggest customers, Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, AIG, they were our biggest customers. They went completely bust. And Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley was on the verge of going bust. Barclays was asking for British funding. Everything, it was chaos. Many thousands and thousands of people got fired in Wall Street, right? They lost jobs. What did they do? They went back to business. Those who weren't already, because they realized this is the best time to invest myself, because the markets are going to take a year to come back. Let me acquire this business degree so that when the markets take off, I'm ready to take off, right? And I can ride that curve. So if you want to ride the curve, this is the best time to do your MBA. If you want to be I would call it like, go under the bunker, not eat food, then stay there and you will never grow.
Okay, so this is a high time to do, or you can say the high time to invest in your education, because वो आगे pay off करेगा. Now, three questions from my side. These are the questions from the students. One question is, what do you think? I personally believe government is not looking towards the higher education like the MBAs. They are mainly focusing on the ground midday meal. What's your take? कि government काम कर रही है या नहीं कर रही है या और करना चाहिए for the higher education?
मेरे को भी मुझे भी it's disappointing. There see, problem is India is broken in many places. So I think if you ask me, undergraduate education is even more broken than postgrad. Undergraduate is horribly broken. So I think there are lots of places that needs to be focused, and money is required. And we have to fund our defense, especially in these times with the threats on our borders. So there's always going to be a priority call. And I think they have taken the call that, okay, school education, because that has impacts on livelihoods, it has impacts on overall generations. So they've taken that bit. Uh, Undergraduate is completely not looked at. I'm disappointed. The quality of undergraduate students, I'm not happy with. Postgrad is still better off. So, but yes, it's one segment that the government hasn't focused on. I'm only saying ki it's a priority call. Hopefully, they'll look at us. The good news is that the new education policy has come into play. It will take a few years to get into the action, and that is going to be a huge boost for both undergrad and postgrad. Of course, it's also for school, but I'm not an expert on school education. So, on undergrad and postgrad, there's some amazing things coming in. I wish it was faster, but I know India is very, very diverse, and it takes time to these universities to change. It's a long process, so understandably. But the good news is the path is great, and hopefully we should have the patience to get there.
Okay, so we hope something better in higher education after the 12th. My next question, Wall Street, global CEO, back is handsome. क्या सपना क्या कीड़ा काटा कि let's open the UBS and Wall Street to Slumdog Millionaire. That's Mumbai. क्या था ये?
So, I'm a Mumbai boy, so the Mumbai, I couldn't take that out, so I wanted to come back. See, every executive, कल आप लोग भी जाओगे वर्ल्ड में, इंडिया में, you have a bucket list. तो मुझे ये करना है, मुझे वो करना है, मुझे ये चाहिए, मुझे वो गाड़ी चाहिए, घर चाहिए, मतलब काफी बात। तो जैसे आपके ख्वाब थे, मेरे भी थे। मुझे एमबीए के टाइम ही जब पूछा गया, मैंने डिसाइड कर लिया मुझे सीईओ बनना। ये मेरा ड्रीम था। कुछ भी सीईओ मेरे को बनना है, पर वो ड्रीम था। Now, I did not expect and ever plan that I would become a CEO of a global business at just the age of 32 years. Running a $2 billion business in 136 countries, ये मेरे ख्वाबों में नहीं था, तो वो जल्दी आ गया। अच्छा, as a finance, MBA finance, my dream was to, actually my dream was work in Mumbai financial district में. But था कि हाँ कभी तो देखेंगे क्या है. Now I got an opportunity to work in London, the world's biggest financial sector, Wall Street, New York, and Hong Kong in Asia, which is the biggest. So in the box. So CEO हो गया, global CEO. अच्छा, global CEO के बाद I got on the board of a Fortune $40 billion corporation at 33. At 35 I was chairman and managing director. तो जो ख्वाब होते हैं ना वो बहुत जल्दी आ गए. And with God's grace, with all due humility, with God's grace, I was able to achieve everything in my bucket list. Then I said, क्या करना चाहिए, right? And then happens to be both my parents have been professors. My father was a professor for 35 years. He was also a corporate executive on the board and CEO. But on weekends he used to teach at SP Jain, Narsimon and Jamnalal Bajaj and Sydney. So, and my mother was a PhD in English literature. She taught at Wilson College in Mumbai, for some of you who might know it. So I think there was a little bit of that. So I said, I don't know, it was just like one of those days in New York. I said, I want to set up a world-class business school in India because I want to make CEOs. I know how to get there. I started my career as a door-to-door salesperson and I made it to the board. I broke the proverbial glass ceiling of a multinational with all Goras, and the Sardar was sitting there making business decisions of multi-billion dollars. So I said, मेरे को रास्ता पता है, तो मैं सिखाऊंगा. And my parents obviously were inspirational as teachers. So I said, why not create? India doesn't have this. In fact, India has it. I love the ISB Hyderabad. They are a fantastic school. And I said, I followed Hyderabad's journey, and they wanted to set up a world-class business school in India, in Mumbai, when the founders were the big guys, Rajat Gupta and company. But they moved to Hyderabad. So I said, boss, ये top these business CEOs from Birla's, Godrej, they're all behind ISB. They wanted to do Mumbai में वो नहीं कर पाए, तो मैं करूँगा. You know, like you have done things which many people haven't been able to do. So I said, why didn't they do it? क्योंकि they went to government for land. गवर्नमेंट के पास लैंड जाओगे तो फिर गवर्नमेंट 10 चीज मांगेगा. मैंने बोला, बॉस, आई विल नॉट आस्क द गवर्नमेंट फॉर एनी फेवर्स. I got the land, bought the land outright, created architects to build it out, and we are delighted. Every year I create 3 CEOs, so that's my joy of doing it. The joy is to see leaders being made. It gives a lot of wow factor, and we are also green business school, so and focused on ethics, environment, CSR. So it's giving back. You know, when you do all of that, when you do all the good things in life, then you get it. I got it at 35. Actually, at 34, I remember 33 was exactly, I said, boss, I want to give back. Very grateful that I got that opportunity to achieve my dreams and give back. And it's been incredible journey.
So next to-do list is done. What next? Sant banna
What
hai.
next? So what next is to keep creating CEOs to build a world-class institution. We've partnered with British, French, Italian, Swiss, American, Mexican, Spanish, Bulgarian universities. We want to now play in that league. Get into multidisciplinary education, which is the focus of NEP. Broaden this value proposition, go into an international space and compete with the best.
Okay.
That's the desire.
Great. So what is green in the green business school? It's the environment or it's some policy?
So great question. There are 2 aspects of green. We always believe in the Apple model. Why is Apple amazing, right? Why do people buy Apple products? Great hardware, great software, right? It looks great and it does great job. So we thought of green in the same principle, hardware and software. So from a hardware perspective, our buildings are completely intelligent, to reduce the carbon emissions. There is light coming in so that you use less lighting. There's air conditioning, dual heart. The windows and every wall has a dual, what we call DJU, so it traps heat. There's a vacuum inside, so less air conditioning. So all of that we've done. We've planted 5,000 trees. We have a solar plant, mega solar plant on our roof, and our car port, our car parks are fully covered with solar. We have 2 dams created. We have electric cars in our campus. We do organic farming, waste recycling, all of that. That's the hardware part, right? So we make sure that we are following all the norms on the hardware side, and we still have miles to go. We are never in a finished business. We are never in perfection. It's like I said, continuous improvement on anything that. Now on the software side, we have green finance, green marketing, green operations, green logistics, green human resources. So we've said every student, because we believe strongly that the world is going to change dramatically. Like COVID, the next big storm is the environment storm. It's already here. Things which used to happen once in 10 years, like the fires, are happening twice in 1 year. One in San Francisco, one in Australia. It's going to be all because of global warming, right? So the world is going to get worse and worse, and the customers are going to vote with their wallet saying, if you're not green, you're not ecologically sensitive, you're not sustainable, I will not buy this product. And so business models will change. Green is the new black, right? And therefore, we believe that students who come out of UBS should be armed with the latest, greatest in green thinking, so that when they go into the corporations all over the world, we have students in 30 countries, they can start the movement, if it's not already started, of green thinking, sustainability, and saving our planet.
It's a great thought. Yeah, I have done my MBA in the 10-11. उस समय बहुत फाइट थी, क्राइसिस जस्ट कुछ साल पहले हुए थे. तो आई मेट टू वन ऑफ द प्रोफेसर, आई एम सॉरी, आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू टेक द नेम. ही सेड वी आर नॉट द प्लेसमेंट एजेंसीज. एमबीए कॉलेज आर नॉट द प्लेसमेंट एजेंसीज. बट मेरे को यही बोलना है कि इफ यू रिमूव द वर्ड प्लेसमेंट फ्रॉम द एमबीए, आई थिंक द 50% जनता ड्रॉप कर जाएगी. वन ऑफ द एम होता है, माइट बी द मेन प्रोडक्ट और द बाई प्रोडक्ट. व्हाट इज द प्लेसमेंट ऑफ यूबीएस? अगर कोई ज्वाइन करता है तो एक तो बैक ऑफ द माइंड होता है कि ओके देयर शुड बी सम, ऐसा लगाया है तो रिटर्न तो मिलना चाहिए.
So great point. America, Europe, Asia, besides India, no website will show placement. Right? They say you're coming to here to learn. We will make you. It's like either putting people's. They say either teach a man to fish or give him fish in his mouth. India is spoiled. You have to put the fish in the mouth. Whereas in the Western world, they teach you how to fish so that you become, because the next job, school is not going to be there. So if you learn the game, you'll do better. Having said that, we do understand in India, this is a norm. So we have 60 CEOs on our board of governance, right? These CEOs are from JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, Barclays, GE, Novartis, ExxonMobil, Kotak Mahindra, Motilal Oswal, top companies all over the world, DHL, so on. So because of our network, we get 300 companies coming to our campus, and we love that. We are very grateful to them. We've had every year a great outcome. The last year's outcome might be topical. We achieved our highest in the COVID time. We achieved the highest average salary for us, which was 8.03 lakhs across the flagship batch, with the top 10 percentile getting an average of 13 point something, and the top student getting a 20 lakh package. We've also cracked a 1 crore salary, only once, but we feel great because only 5 business schools have cracked the 1 crore. These are the 4 IIMs and IIFT. So we feel good that we can even play in the big league and get our students, if they have the talent, get them a great opportunity.
Okay, sure, fine. And my second last question, sir, I am taking too much time of yours. Sorry. Since you got your MBA degree on the basis of your profile, so UBS maybe I hope profile matter karta hoga. So there's a CAT percentile or profile? What would you take?
So, as a leader, you have to walk your talk, right? And so if I got in on the same principle, I encourage on the same principle at UBS also. We have 5 parameters exactly like SPJMR. We will look at you. We want to value you for 365 degrees, your entire 20 odd years of your career, not 2 hours. I think it's very unfair. I would never have gotten. I'm so grateful to SPJMR to take and change my life, right? SPJMR changed my life. I was horrible at maths. I was horrendous at CAT. I got that opportunity, and I was able to reach the top excellence of business. So I want to give that same. It's my repay back to my alma mater, that I follow the same principles to attract students, look at them 360 degrees, and then ensure. So yes, if you're great at CAT, fantastic, brilliant. But if you're not good at the other 4, you will not get into UBS. And the vice versa holds true, right? You might be great at academics and extracurricular leadership. You might have a lower CAT, fine. If you are the full picture, I'm happy to look at it.
So the weighted average should be the above, higher. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
And my last question, that's informal. अभी मार्केट में पैसे डालने चाहिए और वेट करूं मैं कि और मार्केट गिरे? This was one of the interview question.
Tough one. I have some cash, so I'm actually putting it because of a little bit of correction. The big question mark is the budget on Monday. that will decide which way the flow will go. Either it'll be a killer budget if Ma'am Nirmala Sitharaman wants to be really kind and boost industry because of the COVID, have some very attractive package, knock it. If it doesn't meet market expectation, down. So at this point, it's a very high risk. But I have to say, as I say in full disclosure, I'm banking on some magic from the finance minister.
To get market boom or down? कि मैं पैसे डाल दूं?
Boom. I'm banking on it. मैंने पैसा डाला. I hope she's in that mood to be nice to industry.
But I want to, just like we heard, ये मोदी उन्होंने कहा कि दैट इज नॉर्मल बजट, हमने 4 बजट स्मॉल पहले ही दे दिया है कोविड में, तो मुझको नहीं लगता कि बहुत ज्यादा उम्मीद होगी. तो लेट्स सी, जो भी होगा अच्छा होगा. सर, नाइस टॉकिंग टू यू एंड आई होप कि व्यूअर्स ने बहुत सारे पॉइंटर्स नोट किए होंगे, ह्यूज इन द पीआई, एंड आई पर्सनली बिलीव इट्स यू हु आर गोइंग टू एक्सेल इन द लाइफ. आपने भी बेसिक से स्टार्ट किया, अलग रग्बी प्लेयर इज प्लेइंग एजुकेशन, बहुत मतलब आप नेशनल खेला आपने रग्बी, अब इंटरनेशनल एजुकेशन को आप खेल रहे हो, बहुत अच्छा. थैंक्स सर फॉर स्टार्टिंग अ बी स्कूल इन आवर कंट्री, नहीं तो आप कहीं और भी स्टार्ट करते थे. लास्ट सजेशन, बिकॉज अभी वो क्या सुनना चाहेंगे? मेरा क्या क्वेश्चन है, द लास्ट सजेशन मीन्स इफ अ पर्सन हैविंग इंटरव्यू टुमारो एंड उससे बजट का क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता है, इफ अ पर्सन इज सेइंग सॉरी इन द इंटरव्यू, कितना माइनस होता है, कितना पॉजिटिव होता है, कितना जीरो होता है? मुझे नहीं बताया. यू आस्क्ड अ क्वेश्चन, आई डोंट नो, आई सेड सॉरी. दैट इज लास्ट क्वेश्चन ऑफ दिस.
तो आई वुड से अगर बजट का क्वेश्चन है और कल आपका इंटरव्यू और आपने बजट नहीं पढ़ा, सो यू विल गेट माइनस मार्क्स बिग टाइम, राइट? कम ऑन, दिस इज द मोस्ट बिग थिंग you can't not have. The important thing is to always have a view. It's okay if you have a wrong view, koi problem nahi, but view hona chahiye. Now, if you're the other element I would like to emphasize is there are many times you ask the question you have no clue, right? Pata hi nahi hai. Then don't say wrong things because they will say ki yaad hai. But if you're 50-50 or even 30-70, the best way to ask your interview is, sir, may I hazard a guess? This is a very smart way of saying, you're asking for permission to guess. May I hazard a guess? It's a very nice way. The guy will have a smile and he'll say, go ahead. Now, if you're wrong, it's okay because you have guessed and you've asked him for permission to guess. So it's how you word your language which can crack. The guy is going to say, okay, fine. You know, he'll give you a pass.
So the Mr. Chairman give you a hint how to handle a tough question in which you are not assured. May I have a guess? मतलब अपने पैनलिस्ट से परमिशन मांगा रॉन्ग होने का, बहुत सही. बट आई से कि at the Mr. Chairman also said you must know the you must have basic information about the big news. बजट तो पढ़ के जाना चाहिए, मतलब बेसिक पॉइंट तो होना चाहिए. ओके, थैंक्स सर.
Thank you.
टाइम मैंने बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम दिया आपका. थैंक्स.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really enjoyed the questions. Thank you.